He didn't wake up inspired anymore, not discouraged either, just neutral, the kind of neutral that slowly drains you. He still followed his routine, still showed up, still did the work. But the excitement was gone, and nobody talks about this stage. The stage where discipline keeps you moving long after motivation leaves. People say, "Don't quit," but they never explain how exhausting it feels to keep going without proof that it's working. That question started showing up everywhere, not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly, at random moments, while brushing his teeth, while driving home, while staring at the ceiling at night. What if this is all my life will be? Not a breakdown question, a practical one. He wasn't asking for luxury. He wasn't chasing perfection. He just wanted to know if the effort would ever match the outcome. And not having that answer made everything feel heavier. He noticed something else, too. When you're struggling quietly, people assume you're fine. No one checks on you when you look stable. No one asks questions when you're not visibly falling apart. So he carried everything himself. The expectations, the responsibilities, the pressure to figure it out. And over time that weight changed him. Not bitter, not angry, just tired in a way sleep couldn't fix. One night he didn't open the laptop, didn't update anything, didn't plan tomorrow. He just sat there, listening to the distant sound of traffic, watching the streetlight outside flicker. And for the first time, he allowed himself to think, maybe I don't have to keep fighting. Not in a dramatic way, in a quiet, adult way, the kind of thought that comes when you've been strong for too long without relief. That thought scared him because it felt peaceful. From the outside, his life made sense. A job that paid the bills, an apartment in a decent neighborhood, clean shoes, a phone that rang. He wasn't famous, he wasn't rich, but he was stable, and in today's world, that already looked like success. People assumed he had life figured out. They didn't know that every morning before he left his apartment, he stood still for a moment, just breathing, just gathering himself, because it took effort to wear that version of himself all day. At night, everything changed. When the noise of the city softened and the streetlights came on, the silence became loud. That's when the thoughts arrived. Not dramatic thoughts, not sudden breakdowns, just heavy ones. Questions like, is this really it? Is this what my life is going to be? Did I miss my moment? He sat on his couch, phone in hand, scrolling through other people's lives, engagements, promotions, dreams unfolding in real time, and quietly, without saying it out loud, he wondered if he was falling behind. Not because he was lazy, not because he wasn't trying, but because life didn't move at the pace he planned. Nobody tells you this part. Nobody tells you how lonely it feels to be responsible for your own survival. To wake up knowing if you don't show up, everything stops. Bills don't care about your motivation. Life doesn't pause for exhaustion. So you keep going. You learn how to smile on cue, how to say, "I'm fine," convincingly, how to be strong without witnesses. He became very good at that. So good that even the people closest to him never noticed the weight he carried, and he never blamed them. Because how do you explain tired when everyone thinks you're doing well? Every setback you faced this week was preparing you for a comeback. Nothing you went through was wasted. Stay patient. Your breakthrough is loading. The next morning didn't feel different. The sun rose. The city moved. Life continued like it always did. No sudden breakthrough, no dramatic sign, just another day. He got dressed, tied his shoes, and stepped outside. the same street, the same sounds, the same pace. But something inside him was different. Not louder, not happier, just aware. Aware that life wasn't waiting for him to feel ready, aware that time was moving whether he liked it or not. Later that night, he made a mistake. He scrolled, not because he was curious, because he was tired. Tired people scroll. He saw people his age celebrating milestones, buying homes, starting families, announcing promotions, and suddenly the progress he'd been proud of felt invisible. He asked himself a question that haunts many adults. Am I late? Or am I just on a different path? But comparison doesn't answer questions. It only adds weight. Here's the truth nobody says out loud. Sometimes the hardest part of growth is not failure. It's the waiting. Waiting while you're improving quietly. Waiting while nobody notices. Waiting while your life looks the same from the outside. He realized something uncomfortable that night. He wasn't stuck because he was lazy. He wasn't behind because he didn't try. He was in the middle. And the middle is lonely because beginnings get encouragement, endings get applause. But the middle gets silence. Doubt doesn't shout. It whispers. It says things like, what if this doesn't work? What if you're wasting your time? What if you're not as capable as you thought? He didn't collapse under those thoughts. He carried them. And carrying doubt quietly is heavier than people think. Still, he showed up the next day, and the next, and the next. Not motivated, just disciplined. There was one night he didn't turn on the lights. He sat in the dark, listening to the hum of the city outside. No tears, no breakdown, just stillness. That dangerous kind of stillness where you start asking yourself why you're trying so hard for a life that doesn't seem to be changing. He thought about all the plans he once had, the person he believed he'd be by now, and for the first time he admitted something quietly. I'm tired. Not tired of life. Tired of carrying it alone. But here's the part nobody sees. He didn't quit. He didn't magically wake up motivated. He just did one small thing. He opened his laptop, updated his resume again, applied for one more opportunity, wrote down one small goal, not because he believed everything would change overnight, but because hope doesn't always roar. Sometimes hope whispers, try one more time. And that night, under the streetlight outside his window, that whisper was enough. Life didn't suddenly become perfect, but something shifted. He stopped comparing his timeline, stopped apologizing for his pace, stopped thinking survival meant failure. He realized something important. Struggling doesn't mean you're losing. It means you're still in the fight. And the people who survive the longest aren't the loudest ones. They're the ones who keep going even when nobody is clapping. One evening, something small happened. So small, he almost ignored it. An email response, a kind word from a stranger, a moment of clarity while walking alone. Nothing life-changing, but it reminded him of something important. Progress doesn't announce itself. It arrives quietly, like streetlights turning on one by one. You don't notice them at first, until suddenly the road is visible again. That's when his definition of success changed. Success stopped being having it all together. Success became showing up even when unsure, choosing effort over excuses, continuing without applause. He realized that stability isn't failure, that slow growth isn't weakness, that rest doesn't mean quitting, and most importantly, that becoming takes time. If you're listening to this and wondering why life feels quiet right now, if you're doing the work but not seeing the reward, if you feel invisible in your effort, you're not broken. You're becoming. And becoming is uncomfortable, uncelebrated, and incredibly powerful. Don't rush the chapter that's building the strength you'll need later. Tonight, somewhere, someone is listening to this story with a heavy chest and a quiet heart. If that's you, hear this clearly. You're not behind. You're not weak. And you're not invisible. Some of the strongest people are the ones who look okay, but fight silent battles every day. And if you showed up today, even tired, even unsure, that counts. This is Streetlight Stories with Jay. If this story felt like your life, stay with us. Because under the streetlights, real stories live, and yours matters.